Order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Santi.
Here.
Alderman Glad.
Here.
Alderman McClatchy.
Here.
Alderwoman Bassey. Here. Alderman Strack.
Here.
Alderman Cook.
Here.
Alderwoman Miller. Here.
Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, it's public comment portion of the meeting. This is for any public comment that are items that are not on the agenda this evening. Lori Martinez.
Council members, mayor, and staff, I'm back. If you don't remember, my name is Lori Martinez. And this is my daughter, Allison, and my husband, Silvio. We were here 2 weeks speaking about the city sewer overflow in our basement. As you might recall, this devastating event has created a $35,000 loss for our family. I tried in multiple ways to send you the chain of events that started on April 29th, but to my knowledge, I was unsuccessful. Since I did not receive a call from the mayor, as was promised, and I do understand that about your recent surgery, but I feel 2 weeks' time should have been sufficient to call me. So I ended up calling Mr. Santi. During my phone conversation with Mr. Santi, it became apparent that there's a great deal of confusion regarding what happened. Mr. Santi implied that it was our sewer line that caused the overflow. There's absolutely no chance that our sewer line was the cause of the problem. In fact, there is clear evidence that it was the city sewage blockage that is the cause of all the damage, including the destruction of our sewer line. This was verified by our plumber, city workers that came to our house, and our insurance adjuster. So, let's move on. Mr. Santi also mentioned that the city, that if the city covered anything, it would set a precedent for others who file claims. But maybe it should set a precedent. Our homeowners insurance is not covering the damage because they are saying it is a city issue. Our additional septic sump pump policy is not covering the damages because they are saying it is a city issue. But the city isn't covering it because they decided that they are not liable. Who then is responsible? Is it the homeowner that is just supposed to have an extra $35,000 laying around in case the city decides not to take care of their septic lines? I was under the impression that this is a very rare occurrence, in which case setting a precedent shouldn't be a concern and compensating us should not be a burden. And if this isn't a rare occurrence, then it is even more concerning on the city's behalf. This means that it is happening to other innocent homeowners who have no means of preventing it, no way to get it covered with insurance, and in the end, leaving extreme financial loss. For the city to say they are not liable is ridiculous. I'm not coming to you after an accidental house fire expecting you to pay damages because I live in McHenry. The city of McHenry set the fire to my house and is now saying, too bad for you. Obviously, I'm speaking figuratively. What I'm asking is not excessive or inappropriate. As far as the city's attorney stating that the city's insurance did an investigation and denied my claim, I need to point out that this is hardly an investigation. They had no intention of even looking into anything. They did not want my damages, invoices, my 200 pictures. They just wanted proof that it happened, like I would lie about it. They asked me to only send the evidence to show that it was the city's sewer issues. I could have sent them a picture of my dog, and they would have given me the same response. They simply denied it, saying they were not liable. I have yet to talk to anyone from the city who will spend enough time to really understand what happened. I know that your time is valuable, and the situation means nothing to you. It is everything to my family. We are more than willing to continue this conversation with anyone who will listen. We are looking forward to having this nightmare behind us. I am again asking you to make the situation right, because I'm just going to keep coming back. I'm not going away, and I'm not done with this fight, and it shouldn't be a fight. Can you ask me any questions, or is that it?
So I just talked to David McCardle. So The rest of the council, I would urge that we don't have conversations, especially with litigation with Lori, and no offense. But I'd like to set an appointment up with David McCardle, myself, and then Steve Wirch to discuss this at City Hall maybe in the next few days.
That
Are
would
you
be
okay with that?
perfect.
Okay. So we'll call you, or you got my cell number. Call me, and whatever day or time works, we'll make it work.
Okay,
All right?
thank you.
Thanks, Lori. All right, any other public comment this evening? Once again, this is for items that are not on the agenda. All right, see none. Consent agenda items 5A through 5M. Is there any council members wanting to pull for separate consideration? Alderwoman Bassi?
Yes, I'd like to pull K, the agenda of last meeting's minutes.
Thank you. Any others? Alderman Glab?
I don't need to pull it, I just, question for, Director Hobson, just so that, I don't believe it was in the minute, or in the packet, but the fireworks, there will be, a insurance, of some nature to protect the city.
Yes, sir. We'll have a signed contract with Melrose that entitles or ensures that they have insurance, and the city's named as additionally insured for the show, and there are limits that are set on those, and it's required for them to show us proof of that, for them to be issued a permit.
Because I know we always require insurance on fireworks, and even if it's 10 minutes, it doesn't take much, but
Right.
thank you.
The other thing regarding that item I just want to point out is that I mistakenly put September 17th. It is Saturday, September 16th, not September 17th for Light the Night. So Saturday, September 16th. Sorry.
Alderman McClatchy?
Yes, there's no other questions or things to be pulled. I will move to approve the consent agenda.
All right, I got a
With
motion.
the change.
With the change.
A motion to approve 5A through 5M, subtracting K. I got a motion by Alderman McClatchy. Alderman Santee for a second.
I will second.
Thank you. Discussion on these items? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman McClatchy?
Yes.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Alderman Glab?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bassi?
Yes.
Alderman Strack?
Yes.
Alderman Cook?
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller?
Yes.
Thank you, Council. Item pulled by Alderwoman Bassi, it was 5K, August 7th, 2023 City Council meeting minutes. Alderwoman Bassi, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I just want to change where it says Alderwoman Bassi thanked Super Aggregates for, regarding the work put in. It actually should have said, I would like to acknowledge how organized and all the hard work the Gravel Pit group did. So I was acknowledging the Gravel Pit group versus Super Aggregates. Thank you.
That'll be changed.
Thank you.
There was a lot going on, I apologize.
I mean, of all the people.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would you like to make a motion for 5K? as
Can I?
presented? And amended.
And amended? Yes. I will
All right.
make the motion to approve 5K with the changes.
Thank you. Second? Alderman Strack?
I'll second.
Thank you. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Bassi?
Yes.
Alderman Strack?
Yes.
Alderman Cook?
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller?
Yes.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Alderman Glab?
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy?
Yes.
Thank you, Council. Next item on the agenda is 6A, is a Class A liquor license to Lighthouse Wines at 1402 Riverside Drive, Unit 101. I am looking for a motion to approve a Class A liquor license to Lighthouse Wines located at 1402 Riverside Drive, Unit 101, and if approved, pass an ordinance amending Title 4, Chapter 2, Alcoholic Liquor, Section 6, limitation of number of licenses. I am looking for a motion. Alderman McClatchy?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll make the motion to approve Class A liquor license for Lighthouse Wine.
Thank you. Second, Alderman Santee?
I will second the motion.
Thank you. Discussion on this item by City Council? Alderman Santee, go ahead.
Just so I understand this correctly, this location is actually going to be in the basement section of the building, correct?
Yes.
And then one other question, either for the, I believe it's McDonald or Smith.
You two can, yeah, if you'd like to come up to the podium.
This could be answered by staff or them, but is there plans of video gaming in the future in a facility like this?
No, not at all.
Not with this license,
I'm sorry, I
correct?
could answer. No.
Okay, thank you. That's all I
Sorry.
need.
Yeah, can I pass our label around?
Okay.
Yeah, you might want to skip him. We're not even going to see it.
Just one?
Yeah, there's no liquid in there.
All right, any other questions? No?
I've got one.
All right, Alderman McClatchy, go ahead.
Good luck. I think it's a good location, and I was just curious, are you going to use the back patio as like your wine?
We'd like to do that, but right now, the upstairs is vacant, and we would have to rent that patio. So, no, what we're gonna do is we're gonna manufacture the wine there in our space, and then we're gonna pour it at different events, farmers markets, all those kind of things. It's something both of us are really used to doing. And then we're gonna have classes on how to make wine from kits, so that people can come in and learn how to make some Pinot Grigio out of a kit that they buy online or in a wine shop, that kind of thing. So, and that's what we're gonna do. We're the first registered winery in McHenry County. We hope to be the first operating winery in McHenry County. We use local fruit from all the local orchards in McHenry. We both love McHenry County, and we make cherry wine, we make apple wine, we make blueberry wine, we make muskmelon wine. We make about 12 different kinds of wines. And the European varietals like Cabernet Sauvignon and Chardonnay and all that, we'll be making from juice that we buy. So.
Great.
Good luck.
All right.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And you can go ahead and take your empty bottle at the end there. Next time, bring it full, okay?
That one won a silver medal at the Illinois State Fair this year. And
Thank you, too, for coming. All right, any other questions by City Council? Any questions by the public? Any public comment on this item? All right, see none, clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman McClatchy?
Yes.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Alderman Glad?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bassey?
Yes.
Alderman Strack?
Yes.
Alderman Cook?
yes.
Alderwoman Miller?
Yes.
Thank you, Council. Appreciate it, and good luck.
Thank you.
Next item is 6B, is a Class C liquor license, Ami Hotels, did I say that right? Is it Ami? Okay, thank you. LLC DBA Hampton Inn, 1555 South Illinois Route 31. I'm looking for a motion to approve a Class C liquor license to Ami Hotels LLC DBA Hampton Inn located at 1555 South Illinois Route 31, and if approved, pass an ordinance amending Title 4, Chapter 2, Alcoholic Liquor, Section 6, License Classification and Fees, Approval Authority, Limitation on Number of Licenses. I am looking for a motion to approve item 6B. Alderwoman Miller.
I will make that motion.
Was that, yeah, okay, got it. Second? Alderman Glad.
Yeah, second.
Thank you. Any questions, comments by City Council? See none. Any public comment regarding this item? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Miller?
Yes.
Alderman Glad?
Yes.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bassey?
Yes.
Alderman Strack?
Yes.
Alderman Cook?
Yes.
Thank you, Council. Good luck. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Next item is 6C, is a commercial tenant incentive agreement at Rita's Italian Ice and Custard, 3319 West Elm Street. Looking for a motion to approve a commercial tenant incentive grant in the amount of $10,000 for Rita's Italian Ice and Custard located at 3319 West Elm Street. Director Martin?
Thank you, Mayor Jett. Kathy? Got a short. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to laugh at you.
We just did that, too, though.
Kathy Levatino, owner of Rita's Italian Ice and Custard, is a new business located at 3319 West Elm, is applying for a $10,000 commercial tenant incentive grant to help pay for the purchase of equipment for her new ice cream shop. I don't know if you've seen it. She did a heck of a job rehabilitating a building at 3319 West Elm Street. She's looking to use the money for a ice custard machine, and a batch freezer and several other pieces of equipment. This is a 50% reimbursement grant. It's paid out after the first year at, like I said, 50% of the cost at a maximum of $10,000. And it must meet a minimum of sales of $150,000 for the business. So there's an agreement attached. If council concurs, it's recommended to enter into the attached agreement with the owner for a commercial tenant incentive grant in an amount not to exceed $10,000. Be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, sir. At this time, I'm looking for a motion and a second to approve. Alderman Sanchez?
I will make the motion to approve the commercial tenant incentive grant application for Rita's Italian Ice and Custard at 3319 West Elm Street as presented.
Thank you. Second? Alderman Cook?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Questions, comments by city council? Alderman Sanchez, go ahead.
It's a beautiful-looking building from the outside. I have not, to be honest, have not been inside yet, but soon to partake in maybe a taste of custard or whatever. But it does look great, and I saw the pictures online and then also in the packet. So I wish you the best of luck, and I'll see you real soon. Thank you.
Alderman Glab, go ahead.
Yeah, who owns the building?
They do.
You do? All right, so they're not really the tenant, they're the owner of the building, I mean, the business.
They're both, yeah.
Yeah, so do you really still consider that a tenant?
They have two, my understanding is they have two separate corporations for this. One's for the business and one's the building owner.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Correct. They do have two separate corporations, yes.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Any public comment regarding this item? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Alderman Cook? Yes. Alderman Glad?
No.
Alderman McClatchy?
Yes.
Alderwoman Massey?
Oh, so, you guys have,
Yes.
Alderman Stratt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller?
Yes.
thank you very much, and thanks for investing in the city of McHenry. It's gorgeous. I just won't be in there for a little while, okay? It's very tempting, but I'm going to wait a little bit, but I'll be in there.
I've been eating enough for everybody.
Thank
so
you,
it's fine.
appreciate that, John. I dropped my family off, and I'm like, I'm not going in. But yeah, thank you very much. Great job. Next item on the agenda is 6D, is a vacant building incentive program request. Delight Enterprises LLC, 3319 West Elm Street. I'm looking for a motion to approve a vacant building incentive program agreement and direct staff to draft an ordinance approving a tax abatement on the increase in taxes for 5 years, following the issuance of a certificate of occupancy and for all approving taxing bodies for the property at 3319 West Elm Street. Director Martin, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor Jett. This is the vacant building incentive program approved by council on February 22nd of last year for buildings that are vacant 3 or more years. The abatement applies to the increase in property tax after a certificate of occupancy is issued for 5 years. The abatement applies to I work with the other taxing bodies to approach them about abating their taxes as well. The school districts, the fire districts, the library district. The library district has already passed the abatement. I'm working with the school district and the fire district as well. The program was initially presented to the taxing bodies, and the city's portion of the tax bill is $146.30. So anything above that would be abated for 5 years. That's the 2022 tax bill for a 5-year term. So that's the way the program works. if the city council concurs with the proposed property tax abatement, it's recommended that a motion be made to approve the tax abatement agreement and direct staff to draft an ordinance approving a tax abatement on the increase in taxes at 3319 West Elm for 5 years following the issuance of a certificate of occupancy for all approving taxing bodies. So this is the agreement part of it, and then I will be bringing back an ordinance once I go through all the taxing bodies and see what happens at the taxing bodies. And a certificate of occupancy was issued.
Thank you, Doug. At this time, looking for a motion and a second to approve. Alderwoman Miller?
I'll make the motion to approve as presented.
Thank you. Second, Alderman Santee?
I will second the motion.
Thank you. Discussion by City Council? Alderman Glab.
Yeah. We're talking about going to the taxing entities that are not collecting any of this tax anyway. This isn't a tip. So any increases in taxes go to the tip. They're the ones that have to sign off as the city, that's it. Because it's a tip. It's part of the TIF district, correct?
It is.
Yeah,
Okay, so any of those taxes that would normally be collected for the next 5 years would go to the tip. The school and all the other taxing bodies signed off on it a long time ago when we created the TIF, or when we extended the TIF.
No, I think, if I can butt in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Butt in?
Yeah, please.
I think the distinction is that we're actually, in a TIF situation, the taxpayer pays the taxes. It's just they get diverted from going to the schools over to this fund. Here, there will be no taxes on the increase. They're abated. We're going to write a check back or however, give them a credit for that, right?
They're going to be abated at the
Okay, that
county.
means there's no, that portion of tax isn't
That
actually
difference.
collected and going to the fund. There is no tax.
Right.
There's a difference there.
Right. No, the difference is the fact that it goes to the tip. If that money was not abated, it would go to the tip. It has nothing that any of the other taxing bodies have anything to say about that money. Because it goes to the tip, which is the cities. The taxing bodies have signed off on it years ago.
They did.
So there's no reason to have to go to them and hope that they sign off on it. We should be able to just sign off on it as a city because of the fact that it's TIF money.
I would agree
That's
with
what you're
that.
abating is this TIF money.
I would agree with that. Doug, do we really have to
I
go
don't
to
know
them?
how you would accomplish that, because you have a TIF ordinance. You'd be perhaps maybe amending that, but then you would need the consent of the TIF review board to do that. So, I mean, the city could write a check out of the TIF fund maybe back to the entity. That might do it. If we actually wrote a check back in the same amount as the increase back to this entity, that might be legit.
Which is what we've done in the past with our other TIF agreements.
Oh, so then he's right. So the other taxing bodies have already, they're not making.
Yeah,
the
they don't
decision.
have no say in
We've
this.
never gone to any.
It doesn't make sense, yeah.
Okay, that works.
Okay.
But the difference is it wouldn't be.
Is that what you're saying, Andy?
Yeah, I'm just
write a
saying, that-
check.
yeah, there's no reason they have to go to them where any of them could possibly say no or anything else. I mean, they signed off on the TIF a long time ago, and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
all
that
this,
makes sense.
this does.
Is that right, Doug? Can that happen
It's an accounting,
procedurally?
it's an accounting deal, and that's it.
The only thing is I think it would have to be a different agreement.
It has to be a
We
different,
don't need to go to the county for this at all.
correct.
Right.
Right, this agreement might have to be adjusted, but it could be done just with us by writing them a credit back, a check.
Attorney
Once a year.
McCardle,
Once a year.
do we need to change the motion, as far as the wording?
I
Just
wasn't involved
to-
in it, so what did, I didn't.
Just that staff, everybody's willing to abate the tax.
Mhm.
It's just how we have to write it, I guess, so that
Yeah, I
it
would
doesn't
get
have
rid
to
of-
come
Yeah,
back
it's not even a
again.
motion, I mean,
remove-
it's not an ordinance, it would be a motion.
No, change the motion. So at the end of it, you would get rid of all for all approving taxing bodies for, you know what I mean? And this, just amend it to.
For the next 5 years.
Yeah, keep that in there.
So, Monty, how does that motion read now? And I would recommend, I guess, we go back and we could make it right now and amend it. Now it's the motion to pass an ordinance, right? No.
Motion to approve a vacant building incentive program agreement.
Okay, just the
So
agreement.
we can keep that. We just get rid of the end.
Right.
That's it.
So you're going to amend after?
But wait, if we're rebating not abating, then we need to change the motion.
Right, it would be a motion to approve the incentive program agreement implemented by a credit check being written back to the property owner out
Because
of
if
the
we're
TIF funds.
abating, it's never happening. If we're rebating per Carolyn, we need to change that motion to rebate.
Yeah, do
from
you
the
guys do what
TIF.
I just said there, Monty? And you didn't catch it? Okay. So it's to approve the so-and-so agreement implemented by the city staff crediting the property owner with the increase in tax abatement for 5 years out of the TIF fund.
No. That-
Okay?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Does that
No.
work?
You don't want to use the word abatement. That means it didn't happen. You want to rebate any increase
Did I say
after.
abatement? No,
You said crediting,
yeah.
credit, you're
Um,
not crediting.
So you
Rebate, you want to use rebate?
Rebate
Mhm.
any increases after the 2022 tax out of the TIF fund.
Yep.
And I so move.
Okay,
And the second, could we?
I will do the second.
okay, thank you. All right, discussion by city council? Alderman Santee, go ahead.
Actually, that was my question. I was concerned that we're going to pass this tonight. We still have to wait for these other bodies, but we don't have to, so.
Correct.
We get to move forward.
Right.
Good catch.
All right, any other questions, comments? Any public comment regarding this item? Sorry for the confusion. Clerk, please call the roll.
So I'll, go ahead and I'll put a clerk's note that we changed it, and I'll write exactly what you, said.
Yeah, maybe we could go over that sometime
Yeah.
like
Or
tomorrow.
if you want, Trish, I'll make the motion to withdraw my first motion so that it's nice and clean in your minutes, and then just substitute the second motion.
And same with the second?
I will do the same.
Perfect.
Okay, that's good.
I'll still work with you.
Okay.
It's a little weird.
Go ahead, Trish, call the roll.
Alderwoman Miller?
Yes.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Alderman Glad?
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy?
Yes.
Alderwoman Massey?
Yes.
Alderman Strack?
Yes.
Alderman Cook?
Yes.
Thank you, council. Thank you very much. Have a great evening. Next item is a 6E, is a revocable and non-exclusive license agreement. Motion to pass an ordinance authorizing the mayor's execution of a revocable and non-exclusive license agreement between the city of McHenry and 3918 Main LLC. Kuzniewski, Holdings LLC. Director Martin, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor Jed. This is an agreement between 3918 Main and Kuzniewski Holdings LLC and the city of McHenry, a license agreement that would allow the employees of the businesses and the residents to use the city parking lot and 2 spaces in the rear of the parking lot to access the rear of the building of 3922 Main Street. 3918 Main, they're opening a restaurant there, and they want to use the alley in between 3922 and 3918 Main as a seating area. So they want to close off the alley, and there's an existing easement in between the alleys, in the alley, I should say, that benefits both buildings. And instead of having that easement there for the cars to go through the alley to get to the back parking, they want to go through the city parking lot and then through the 2 spaces in the back of the parking lot to get to the back parking area, if that makes sense. If that makes sense, and then have a seating area in the alley. The alley is located to the west of 3918 Main and to the east of 3922 Main. There will be a couple on-street spaces that will be gained on Main Street as a result of the alley being closed. There'll be 2 dedicated parking spaces that will be termed the licensed area in the city parking lot. That will be the access for the back parking. There will be improvements that will be made to the back area as well as the alley area of 3918 Main and 3922 Main. We researched the area, and there came up, they would have preferred an easement agreement, but we felt more comfortable with a license agreement that was that you have in front of you. there seems to be an easement on the west side of 3932 Main, to access presumably the garage. So this agreement would hold for about 10 years, where no one could cancel the agreement, and then it could be canceled by either party with 90 days' notice. So it's basically an alternative access to the alley. That's basically what it is. And all the work would be done by 3918 Main. The petitioners are here to answer questions if you have questions. If council concurs with the provisions of the attached agreement, it's recommended that a motion be made to approve the ordinance authorizing the mayor's execution of the attached revocable and non-exclusive license agreement between the city of McHenry and 3918 Main LLC and Kuzniewski Holdings LLC. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Doug. I'm just excited to see this come before us. I know we met and talked to Mrs. Kuzniewski too about this, and this is awesome. This is what it's all about and working together. So at this time, I'm looking for a motion to approve 6E as presented. Alderwoman Miller?
I'll make that motion with great excitement for the patio and new outdoor seating.
Absolutely. Second? Alderwoman Bassi?
I will second it, and I agree with you completely, Alderwoman Miller. I'm so excited to see it.
Any questions, comments by City Council? Alderman Glab.
In the circumstances where this business were to close, the agreement becomes null and void right away, correct?
Yes.
And do we have any bond or anything else that is being brought up as far as for payment, as far as replacement in the parking lot, as far as fixing everything back up to the way it was?
We did not put a bond in the agreement. We did require insurance, but we did not, since they're just cutting the curb, we did not put a bond in the agreement.
Well, again, I mean, there should be some assurance that the city's covered on, number one, fixing the parking lot in the back, and as far as the curb cut in the front. And I see a concept here, but not really an engineered drawing of how many parking spots are we losing in the parking area? 3? And gaining 2 out on the street? Because we can't gain a third because there's a fire hydrant there, so
Right.
you're not going to gain that third one. And I'm not so worried about the one parking spot, because I wouldn't want it to be too tight in the back for them to turn in and out, you know, it's with people parking there and everything else. But I do feel that there should be some insurance as far as 3 years from now, the business could close and you could have a new property owner, the building could be sold, you never know. So therefore, you don't want to be running after somebody to get money that should be put up front of some nature, bond or whatever.
Director Palarecki, can you help us out here?
Yeah, I can't speak for what Alderman Glab is talking about with returning it to its original, but we do, for the construction, we will require that the contractor be bonded with the city in case they walk away from the project halfway through it or whatnot. But once, your concern is 3 years from now, you want the parking lot put back to where it was. But I would hope that if this business failed, which obviously we hope it does not, that the next business that comes in would utilize it as in the same fashion. So that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, you never know what kind of a business there is, and they may want to.
True,
you know,
but they're putting a lot of
back.
money and stuff into it to make it a restaurant. So I would imagine that setup would continue on as the next
You remember the last one, you put a lot of money in it too, and part of it was city money, so. All right, thank you.
Any other questions, comments by City Council? Any public comment regarding this item? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Miller?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bassi?
Oh, get off the mics.
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy?
Yes.
Alderman Glad?
No?
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Alderman Strack?
Yes.
Alderman Cook?
No.
Thank you, council. Good luck. If you need anything, holler, okay? Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Next item on the agenda is 6F, amendments to a facade grant program. Motion to adopt recommended amendments to the McHenry facade grant program based on input from the June 19, 2023 City Council meeting. Director Martin?
Thank you, Mayor Jett. On October 17th, the council adopted a new facade grant program, and on June 19th, the council discussed amendments to the program. We looked at various amendments to the program. We wanted to amend the program to ensure it would remain sustainable, so as many businesses as possible can take advantage of the program. We're proposing a couple amendments. The dollar amount, we're proposing, it's by lineal frontage, so we're proposing $10,000 from 1 to 40 feet, which is not a change, and then $15,000 from 41 to 80 feet, which is a change from $20,000, and then $20,000 from 81 plus feet, which is a change from $30,000. We also want to focus a little bit more on shopping centers. A lot of communities focused on shopping centers and having their facades, their entire facades redone, including adding Richmond Road from Elm Street to the city's northern boundary, allowing funds to be used on the entire shopping center, such as painting and renovations, prohibiting parking lot improvements. Parking lot improvements would not be allowed in shopping centers. Further, we're suggesting allowing franchise and chain establishments, but only those located within TIF districts. To date, 8 grants have been approved under the new program, and we'd like to see this, continue, and, businesses continue to use the program. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have on these proposed amendments, and if staff concurs, or I apologize, if the council concurs with staff's analysis, it's recommended the facade guidelines be amended as stated.
Thank you, Doug. At this time, looking for a motion to approve 6F as presented. Alderman McClatchy?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Second? Alderman Miller?
I will second the motion.
Thank you. Discussion by City Council? Alderman Glab?
Yeah, I still felt that, rather than dollar for dollar, we should have it at, that we, set it up to $1 for every $2, that we would match $1 for every 2 spent. I'm glad to see that the grant amounts are reduced, but I would like to see, we actually put in less in the facade grant or the facade program than what the owner does. Thank you.
Alderman Santi?
No, I'm comfortable with the ratio, and I definitely am happy to see these areas of town being brought into this program in regards to covering our bases on 120 from the east side all the way out to Ringwood, and then southbound on 31, and hopefully we'll see some traction in some new areas of our downtown districts. Thank you.
Alderman Miller?
Doug, how much money is left in the facade grant fund now?
$573.50. There you go.
Wow, thank you.
Anytime.
And is that in the next budget to refund?
That's in this current year's budget.
That's all that's left in this current year budget?
Yes.
And it's up to council how much goes into next year's. We would propose the same amount, but.
What are you proposing? Or what are you working on?
It's way too early. I probably won't be involved with that dollar amount.
Well, this year was 100, right? I mean.
Yeah, this year was 100.
What do you have, 6,000?
$6,573.50. Not that I was keeping track, but Director Martin was, so.
All right,
So essentially, by changing this motion, we can maybe have one more grant during this fiscal year, maybe.
maybe.
Yep, thank you.
Any other questions? Alderman Glab, go ahead.
Yeah, on this facade grant, it is only to the property owner, correct? Not the business to sell?
Well, the business has to sign off on it.
The business signs off on it, but basically it is the property owner that has to apply for it, correct?
The property owner has to apply.
Okay, cool. So just want to make sure of that. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments by council? Any public comment regarding this item? See none, clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman McClatchy?
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller?
Yes.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Alderman Glab?
Yes?
Alderwoman Bassey?
Yes.
Alderman Strack?
Yes.
Alderman Cook?
Yes.
Thank you, council. Next item on the agenda is 6G, is an economic incentive agreement for Graham Enterprises Incorporated. I'm looking for a motion to pass an ordinance authorizing the mayor's execution of an economic incentive agreement between the city of McHenry and Graham Enterprises Incorporated in the form of a 50% sales tax rebate not to exceed a total of $500,000 for 10 years, whichever comes first. Director Martin, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor Jett. The City Council is being asked to consider development and economic incentive agreement between the city and Graham Enterprises to offset development costs involved in redeveloping and improving the property at 5520 West Elm Street. The Ringwood Road and Elm Street site has been a priority redevelopment site for the city for numerous years and is part of the strategic redevelopment plan and located in the West 120 Route Corridor Initiative. Put the goals of the West Route 120 Corridor Enhancement Initiative in the supplement. I won't go through those. In 2018, the City Council adopted a development incentive agreement with Graham Enterprises. The agreement included 3 properties, which comprised the subject property. Those were 5301 Bull Valley Road, which is Crystal Lake Road and Bull Valley Road, 5520 West Elm Street, which is Ringwood Road and Illinois Route 120, and 4410 West Elm Street, which is the office building that was raised. In the agreement, the owner was required to do several actions by the following dates, and the agreement would have been null and void. The owner did all those actions. There was a provision in the agreement that the 5520 West Elm site would also be included in the sales tax sharing as part of the subject property if the building permit had been issued and obtained the Ringwood Road site, and the building raised and the site at Ringwood Road reopened as a fueling station with a 4,800 minimum square foot convenience store on or before December 31st, 2019. That was not met. The owner, John Graham, is requesting $1 million in sales tax rebates, incentives to assist in constructing the station at this time at 5520 West Elm Street to mitigate his risk of building the station at this location at this time. The site's been vacant for numerous years. It's a tough part of town. Needs a lot of revitalization. Graham Enterprises is proposing to construct a new fueling station with a C-store and a car wash. Staff believes the $1 million is excessive. Alternatively, staff's proposing a 50% base and home rule sales tax rebate over and above $2,000 per month, not to exceed a total of $500,000 or 10 years, whichever comes first. The attached agreement for 5520 West Elm contains a provision whereby the owner must construct a new convenience store of not less than 6,057 square feet with an auto canopy, commercial canopy, landscaping, and fueling station, and receive an occupancy permit no later than December 31st, 2024. This is a $5 million project. Staff believes the proposed agreement is justified due to the extraordinary circumstances surrounding the proposed redevelopment and the fact that there are many moving parts that make this a somewhat risky proposition for the developer. Further, the property is a very strategic site, is located in a very key area of the city. It's a very, it's a tough area of the city. It needs revitalization. It needs something to kickstart the area. If the city council concurs, it's recommended the attached ordinance authorizing the mayor's execution of an economic incentive to Graham Enterprises, Inc., Ringwood Road site be approved. And the applicant is here to answer any questions as well as myself. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Doug. At this time, I am looking for a motion to approve 6G as presented. Alderman Cook?
I'll make the motion as approved.
Thank you. Second? Alderman McClatchy?
I'll make that second.
Thank you. At this time, I open up for questions and comments. John Graham is here, so if you have any questions for him, he can certainly come up to the podium. Alderman Bassi?
Thank you,
Floor is
Mayor.
yours.
I just want to confirm that this $500,000 is for the Ringwood location only.
It is.
Yes.
That's all. I'm
Yep.
just looking for a verbal confirmation for the record that it is just for Ringwood.
That's
Okay.
correct.
I mean, we definitely need a gas station there.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Santi?
Yep.
Hey, John, can you hit the button?
He did. Yeah, he already got it.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Grant, for coming in tonight. Help me understand where the first agreement, we had the 5 bullet points, and that 5th one wasn't covered, and it is mentioned here in the agenda, where that was part of the first $1 million. Now we're looking at taking that one item and putting it into its own agreement and asking for another, well, first it came to $1 million, but you're comfortable with the $500,000. Explain why it happened this way and why you're presenting it to us this way.
Okay. Hard to believe that that was 5 years ago, or a little bit more, actually. And the easiest way I can answer it, Alderman Santi, is that we've gained a bit of perspective for projects like these. That there is a lot of risk in putting these things together, and we've ended up with, I don't know, a much more expensive project in total, just based on, I wouldn't call it just inflationary change. It's just things have gotten exceptionally expensive to build these things, and the standard that we're building these things are higher than most of what you see constructed. I think Thornton's a pretty good example that I think was incentivized in here in town, and you got, kind of a best-in-class type development out of I think what comes with a little bit of help. And so the standard that we're meeting is self-imposed, but I think since 2018 we've let our development plans be dictated in part by cities like McHenry, who have given us the kind of incentive to mitigate a bit of the risk. It's not 100% guarantee, and we're only participating on what works with each other. But when we started, and when I was standing here back 5 years ago or so, I think, our experience, first of all, with economic incentives, and I mean, we've always had a good experience with the city of McHenry, and I always felt that investing here is second nature, but we really didn't have a lot of experience with cities that thought like McHenry at that time, and since then we have run into a number of different development agreements that aren't exactly the same, but they incentivize the same type of change. And so I guess the only thing I can tell you is that we were tied into those 3 properties at the time. If you remember, 5520, or the corner of Ringwood and 120 had that abandoned station, and although we inherited both of those stations in the same condition, the difference between the one at Bull Valley, when we first took it over in 2009, was that it had the tanks remaining in the ground. And so just to remind you, the expense to putting that one back in commission wasn't as easy to decide what to do. And we were seeing the industry change. So although we put 55 Ringwood and Bull Valley, the 2 sites that looked the same, the difference for us was that we were able to, with a far smaller investment, get that one up and running. It created confidence to look at how to put that one on the map for a for another generation, really. I think what we did walking away from this meeting is, and we agreed that was a problem for the council and for the mayor in particular to answer, why is this thing being left in the condition it's in? And so I think the spirit of our agreement back then was really focused mostly on getting something done at Crystal Lake Blacktop and Bull Valley. Although it got included in it, I think the spirit of what we really did was take down an office building at 4410, that was just not easy to occupy. It left us in a position to picture, additional retail, which indirectly is connected to this project, because I think in the long run, what we have at the mobile station at 4410 is really not equipped to compete in the long term. I guess I would just point out that some of the stations in town have closed up, and that's kind of an early view of what's going to happen with stations like that, whether it's the one at the river or the former Clark station. I think that there'll be more of that comes forward. And although we're all hearing, that electrification is going to put guys like us out of business, I really believe that you're incentivizing something that is going to be around for longer than I am, but we'll compete in a much different way. And so the scope and scale, of these projects really makes what we did at Bull Valley, second to what we're doing at Ringwood in terms of the amount of parking, the scale, and the additional, possibility of putting that car wash together with it, or we just, as I explained to the mayor and anybody that asks, why would we not want to tie those two together from a promise standpoint? It's not to avoid something that's on paper. It's just to get the horse in front of the cart and really have enough confidence to do what really is similar in scope in terms of investment. But I think the convenience store and the gasoline on that end of town, probably will be a linchpin towards further development. And, we're proud to be a part of McHenry. Somebody asked me earlier, how long have you really been here? And I think my dad did something back in the very early 60s at 4410, so our relationship's a long-standing one. I don't know if that totally answers the question,
well,
but...
just I appreciate it, and I just want to follow up, if I may. If you look back in time and you think about 2019, when you're getting to that point and you know that, let's face it, you need time, you need money, you need product, people to build out a station like this, a facility like this. Was there any thought on your part that maybe you should reach out to staff when it was getting close to that time frame to say, we're not going to make it on the corner of Ringwood and 120? What can we do to possibly ask for an extension at that time where it actually would continue to roll into to stay with that $1 million that you already have with you? I mean, was that ever thought of or discussed at that time?
Yeah, I guess I wasn't beating around the bush or unintentional anyway. I think our experience with other cities and with projects that are similar is really kind of what would have brought me back to you, whether we were able to move forward quicker than today. IDOT is the biggest reason, or one of the biggest reasons, outside of the pandemic, the treatment that we got from IDOT was difficult to move forward with. And, we have have gotten some help from staff and from the mayor in particular on moving IDOT forward a bit, but we're still with a bit of risk in terms of what they've given us from an access standpoint. And then they added some things that are expensive, with the de-acceleration lane and things. So the answer to your question, honestly, is that I would have been back to you with just some of the things that we experienced. I think there was some consternation when I look back at the discussion we had over should we, the city, be investing in a place like Bull Valley and Crystal Lake Blacktop. It was an existing station, and I think my point with all of you was, or at least with all of you that were here, was that incentivizing something like this is going to get you the type of product that is going to be able to survive, and that you're going to participate in a bigger sales tax base with that participation. I think the numbers don't lie, that is a successful place for both of us. And, I hope Ringwood will be the same, but honestly, long-winded answer to your question, all of that perspective is what brings me back tonight. And when I asked the mayor for $1 million, I wasn't shy about asking for that, and I think it's, honestly, the only reason that I'm backing down to $500,000 is because I feel that that's the only recommendation that'll be made that could be presented here tonight. Is it enough, and does it compare with other experiences? The answer is no, but I understand plain English, and I think without it, we can't move forward. With it, the risk is a little more ours. That's all I can tell you.
And just, I'm sorry, but quick follow-up. The way this agreement is worded is that right now the car wash will be, if you do pass, the car wash would be secondary. You would not be building that at the start, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. No, we're permitting it. And, we didn't draw the picture. We believe that is a way to go to market, but there's a number of things that are happening that have to continue to happen. And, the interest rates moving in the direction there isn't necessarily good for housing, but rooftops are critical to a successful car wash with the type of scope and scale that we're making, at least on paper from an investment standpoint. So I just wouldn't misdirect you in any other way, but we'll be looking for the best option to add to that project, and accumulating that additional land gave us what we viewed was options that are good for both of us. Today I stand before you telling you that we're comfortable in the car wash space and that it is a nice addition to the convenience and gasoline offering, but our confidence will develop after occupancy, and I think in the end, if we didn't do a car wash, it would be because we felt that there's something better for both of us, and I'd be back here presenting that too. So.
And I'm sorry, one final question is, how many years has the Graham family been doing business in the city of McHenry?
Yeah, I was saying earlier, I think my dad has been, or did what was a Sinclair back nearly, I guess it's over 60 years ago, because it was in the very early 60s that he got involved with them. So.
Okay, thank you. I
time.
have no other questions.
Yep.
Alderman McClatchy, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Graham, when do you plan on being up and running?
The only thing that we're waiting on is the IDOT permit, and we've been asked to resubmit everything, and we think we've given them everything. We have no comments, positive or negative, but we wanted to be patient enough with what is a fairly slow process at this moment. But we intend to, depending on how things work tonight, I can promise you that we would like to get moving before the snow flies, and that's
Great.
Entirely possible because the village, I think, is in a position to issue a permit or very close to it.
Thank you so much. I totally agree with Director Martin. I think this is a perfect location. It's going to draw from a lot of people from that whole area. In fact, you're going to have a convenience store there. I think it's well overdue.
Well, you can't say
Good
me,
luck.
but I got both of these crossed. That's just, there's still a few things that have to happen, but if it follows the line and the acceptance we've had by, an additional customer base at Bull Valley and Crystal Lake Blacktop, I think we'll both be happy with the improvement. Yep.
Any other questions, comments? Alderman Strack?
Good evening, Mr. Graham. Just a quick question. I know in our agreement it states you're going to build a big C-store. Will it be a trio?
Yes.
It'll be branded that, it'll be that level of quality that's the same at Bull Valley and Crystal Lake Road?
Yeah, if you're happy with what's at Bull Valley, I think you'll be happier with this. It's, from the curb appeal standpoint, it's the same, but we've learned a few things, and you'll just see those in I think, a nicer form.
Great, thank you. One staff question, the 4410, I believe it is, the building that they removed. What does that parking lot currently look like?
Let's grab them.
I got a picture on my phone we're working on.
Okay.
And I'm more unhappy than you are, believe me.
I was actually gonna call you tomorrow.
I just, again, you know, I know that obviously that was a demo job and a lot of work going out there and a lot of things happening. I just know that I don't think that was designated where that was going to be left in the last agreement, so I just wanted to touch on it.
Yeah, no, it's, you shouldn't have had to ask. We'll promise you take care of it. There's a few things there from a, you know, not an engineering standpoint, but we didn't want to just simply put grass in because then we got to protect it from people driving over it. And initially, but these are excuses that are unacceptable to me as well. We were waiting for that thing to settle so that putting pavement on it was an option that would be at least good enough to handle the traffic that's there.
Great, thank you.
John, when you talk to your team, can you get back to me on that, and I'll give an update to council regarding that lot?
Yeah, I promise you that by the fall it's handled
I
in
trust
an
you on that.
acceptable form. Yep.
Any other questions, comments by council? Alderman Glab?
Yeah, this is for Attorney McCardle. Could you tell me on the old agreement where it specifically stated that this site had to be built by a certain date? And that it was included in the agreement forthwith originally?
Yeah, did it have to, I can't remember. It had to be built, or what page you're on? Do you have it? So
I could be reading, you know, I've read this over and over, and I could be
it
reading
looks
right
like we're
through
in
it somewhere.
subsection D, so it's on electronic or red number 229 at the bottom, which is subsection 3D of the agreement, and it states the owner intends to make the following improvements. And then the first one is no later than December 31, 2020, demolish all existing buildings and structures at the Ringwood site.
Which was
And
done.
then I don't think there was occupancy for it.
Correct. But yet, we keep being told that it was dropped because it was in the old agreement, but it wasn't built by a certain date.
So it says also on page 231, section 3, about the third paragraph, it says, in addition, unless a building permit has been issued by the city and obtained to raise the building at the Ringwood site, and the site reopens as a new facility, 4,800 square feet, by a certain date, the Ringwood site shall be excluded from the definition of subject property. So that would exclude you from the benefit of that sales tax rebate. So now we're reincorporating it in another way. And I pulled it out of this agreement. We created a side agreement just for this one.
And where was that? I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
See, I don't have page numbers on this.
Oh,
that
it's
they sent me.
paragraph 3 in the third full paragraph.
Agreement, page here.
In addition, it says,
Of course.
Andy, it's after the definitions,
There we go.
paragraph 3,
right.
under I.
So the obligation on Ringwood was split up in a couple different paragraphs.
Page 7, Andy.
I don't even have page numbers on it.
I just counted.
Oh, another flaw.
Did you find it, Andy?
It starts with in addition. Right.
Yeah, I see where it basically has a definition of, No, okay.
Right,
Starts the maximum total payment obligations on the top of the page.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments by council?
Yes, that's it.
Thank you, John.
Thank
You may
you.
have a seat. I just want to say, over the last 5 years, working with John has been absolutely amazing. I think Ross, working directly with him, can say the same thing. But, obviously, not only COVID, but IDOT, I'm glad we were able to get them on the phone and work out a deal for the access points. Obviously, it wasn't the access points that John Graham wanted or felt comfortable with. Obviously, remember, the decel lanes are not cheap, and that's why Speedway actually pulled and did not build because of the decel lanes, specifically on 31 and Ringwood and 120, right? Remember that? That was the big reason why they walked. So, you know, once again, I think this is important for the city of McHenry, and I don't think we could partner with anyone better than John Graham, to be honest with you. He's always held up to his end of the bargain as far as being in touch with us and class acts for sure. So I am going to the public for any public comment. All right, clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Cook?
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy?
Yes.
Alderman Glad?
I just want to say that, not happy with this, but I'm looking at what's beneficial for the residents out there west that need this gas station. So I'll vote yes.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Alderman Strack?
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bassie?
I concur with Alderman Glab. I'm reluctant, but yes.
Thank you, Council. John, thank you very much. Look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
And John, reach out to me, and if we have to get a hold of IDOT and help, let me know. All right? Thank you, sir. Next item on the agenda is 7A, Public Works Operations Policy Discussion regarding draft snow and ice control and sidewalk maintenance. Works? Floor is yours.
Yeah, we put together these couple of policies. I'll just touch on a few of the key points with the snow and ice control policy first, and I'll answer any questions that you have. I'd say the three big things that we changed in 2020 when I started overseeing this operation was, number one, the routing. We created two primary routes, the west and an east primary route. That covers, you know, our heaviest travel roads with the fastest speed limits to keep them covered, you know, as much of the storm as possible. The second thing that we did was we changed the way that we approach the storm. Before, we would wait for a call from dispatch about the roads. Now we look at it and we make a plan prior to the event. And generally speaking, we have the primary routes covered prior to the storm starting, and then we escalate from there based on what we're seeing in the forecasting and what the weather's doing. And the third thing would be cul-de-sacs. While we're still making passes on the final cleanup, we wait till the storm is completely over so we can focus on everything else. And then typically we do that then during the day after the event. I'd say those are the three biggest ones that changed in our policy. And, you know, we just want to put that in writing in front of you guys so you know exactly what we're doing. So if you have any other questions about that one, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Steve. Any questions, comments? Alderwoman Miller?
Thank you, Mr. Wirtz. On the first page, page 243, where it says the snow fighting plan, you, in the last sentence, say there's 3 tools that we use, and there are only 2 listed. Did I miss one?
No, there are only 2, and I don't know what draft got put in there because mine says 2. The one I'm looking at that I pulled out of my folder.
Mine says 3.
Okay.
With 2 tools listed, and it reiterates these 3 tools could be utilized, so I thought maybe my draft just was missing a line.
You can add a tool. No.
No, I only have 2 here. I'm not sure how that
No worries.
got mixed up.
I just wanted
but
to make sure I
we'll
didn't
get the
miss-
right one put together.
I didn't miss
for
something.
your
Thank
approval.
you.
Any other questions, comments by council? Alderman Glab?
Yeah, I just want to say that I agree with the snow removal and ice control, but as far as the actual maintenance of the sidewalks and the concrete work, I can't agree with. I think we need to go out and we need to find more revenue. At the least, the city used to have a 50-50 program on aprons years back. And here we are, a much more vibrant city, yet now we don't want to pay for any of it. We want the property owners to pay for it. By golly, I've looked over the last 20 to 25 years, and I've seen a downslide on property maintenance within our city. And we've had discussions with Ross in different ways to where we can escalate that back up to where the levels that we were 20 and 25 years ago. And we don't want to see houses with concrete steps that are half of the concrete is missing. We don't want to see houses that have siding, wood siding that you can almost see the bare wood now because it hasn't been painted. And so how do we take and tell our residents that we want to see better property maintenance if we can't maintain the public property that we have out there? You take a look at some of these sidewalks that have pits in them like crazy as far as from salt to where, yeah, it's not a tripping hazard, but it's aesthetic views in our city. I mean, we're supposed to be working for our residents, and we're supposed to make the city look more beautiful. Would these sidewalks get changed in the downtown area because of the TIF? I don't know. But all I'm saying is through the rest of the town, we need to look at our concrete. I don't care if it's curbs, aprons, or sidewalks, but we need to maintain that better for the looks of the town. You don't want things to keep heading in one direction. You want them to uplift, but the city has to set the example, and we need to find the revenue. That's the problem. It's always money, and somehow, you know, in the past I kept yodeling about the street program, and we need more money. We found ways of doing that, and now we need to. And I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight, but we need to take and look for more money for concrete work and help our residents to make our city look that much more prim and proper. How we're going to do it as far as the revenues, I don't know, but we need to keep our eyes open and look for it. And I would hope that we would start heading in that type of direction. The problem winds up is if this is a policy that the Public Works operation wants to work on, I have no problem. But I don't want to where an alderman might get a phone call or something, and then we're going to be told, well, don't you remember, we passed this policy back a year and a half ago on how we handle all this, and so you're dead in the water before you even get started because, well, we've already got a policy. I don't want to create a policy to where we can't flex it, that we can't take and help our residents in any way, shape, or form.
Alderman Glab, in the policy, I do address future consideration for money for a citywide replacement program. But the one thing we did start doing, and we're on our second round of it, is we've contracted out to do a sidewalk survey every other year. And then, so this year, we did the survey in April, the contractor did it in April, and then we replaced about 100 panels of sidewalk in-house, and we have about 120 yet to grind. You know, so the plan was to do that every other year. Now, obviously, if we wanted to budget more, we could do that annually. But that, I mean, that's not going to, I know it's not going to address the issue of a citywide, but it is addressed in here that at some point we should consider that.
I understand that, but when we were discussing streets, you weren't sitting there when I hammered Public Works about the fact that these surveys are great, but when we have to go outside the city to get them and we're paying for it, and we got, you know, groups outside the city that are telling us what the worst parts of the city are as far as streets and sidewalks, and I don't think that's right. I think nobody knows better than the residents and the elected officials as well as staff just where the worst parts are in the city and where we need to work on it. Again, the problem winds up is finding the money.
I would agree.
Do you agree with what I said?
Yeah, so I don't have it in front of me. I can't pull it up on my computer. But I'm just trying to recall whether or not we had a sidewalk replacement line item in the community investment plan or not. Do you remember, Steve?
It was in there, or it was one of the options that was presented, and I believe council voted not to put that in.
For last year, right?
Yes.
So as far as funding goes, just to remind council, So we have two utility taxes in place. One's a maintenance and replacement program, maintenance and replacement utility tax, which is the electric, the ComEd tax, the electric tax that went into effect, 18 months ago or more now. And then I'll be coming back to council, we'll be updating the community investment plan. Troy presented it last year in November-ish, December-ish time period, and I'll be presenting it to council this fall, and we'll make sure that we include that as one of the items in there. Ultimately, again, it's gonna come down to, we estimate $1.1 million or $1 million a year. I'm just using, Carolyn can say I'm way off or not way off, but I think we estimated $1.1 million a year and for the electric tax to be used specifically for non-street maintenance and replacement programs or projects like vehicle replacement, et cetera. So we have a funding source for those things. Then it comes down to what are the priority projects that are programmed within that from a need replacement and a prioritization replacement, and then that's set in the budget. So, we can make sure that we include that, plug some dollar amount into it as part of that presentation, and then see where we're at come budget time in terms of where we're at with the electric tax, and then where we're at in terms of any other surplus. I mean, again, we always run, knock on wood, we've run revenues over expenditures because the way that we budget so conservatively that we have that money, Alderman Glab, where we could do something like that if council so choose to invest it in an annual street replacement program. So we'll bring that to council. That was a long explanation, but we'll include it and bring it to council as part of that community investment plan update in November, or whenever I present it to council.
I have a couple. So I wasn't aware there was a survey, thank you. I'm always a data queen and like to know that we have a survey. I'm assuming, much like our street, they went on every
Yes,
foot?
they walked every sidewalk, and
Graded it from...
They flagged, anything from a crack in the sidewalk to, pitting, any uneven panels. And then I think they had over 1,000, it was over 1,000 that they flagged. And then the supervisors would go out and verify and make a decision whether it's, if we need to remove it, replace it, if it's a grind, or, if it's, not a hazard, if we're not going to, if we're going to let it be for the time being, monitor it.
And because I'm not a sidewalk girl, how many feet in a panel?
4.
It's
Generally,
like
there's 4x4, like
4x4?
call it 4x4, yeah.
So we have 845 linear feet of concrete curb and gutter. So I'm assuming we have that many feet of sidewalk? That's on page 261?
845,000.
Yeah.
We have about 3 million square feet of sidewalk.
And
in the
based
city.
on the report that I've not seen, how much of that needs to be replaced?
I believe the number when we did it in the community investment plan was if we spent about $250,000 a year, we'd get rid of the worst 1% in about 10 years, if I remember correctly. I'd have to relook that up.
Oh, great. So we're
There's a lot of sidewalk.
So we're a lot behind.
Yes.
Awesome. And how much does it cost to replace a 4x4 panel?
I mean, it would depend, and I'd have to go look at some numbers on
Give me a
recent
best guess.
contracts. Probably a couple $100, like per square foot,
Per square foot?
probably about $200. Probably about $200 would be my guess on the last one. $150 to $200 would be my guess.
Per square
So like
foot?
3,200 per panel.
Per
So,
panel.
yeah, so you've got
Yeah.
16 square feet.
The last time I priced concrete, it was $185 a square to buy concrete.
Yeah.
And it depends on how many they're gonna do at one time.
So I guess
yeah.
the point of my questions is $1 million isn't gonna get us very far. So to your point, 250,000 is gonna get us a 10-year plan, which is what?
Which in that 10 years will remove the worst 1%.
Well, then I agree with Mr. Glab, we need to figure this out, because, between having too many roads that are in the red zone and too many sidewalks in the red zone. We're beautifying our town to just have terrible infrastructure. So we're going to have to reallocate some funds and get some more concrete done. So thank you for the information. Will you make that report available to us?
Yes.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's all in our, I have it all in the GIS stuff. I can
Perfect.
share with you whenever you want.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? I totally agree. I think we do need to come up with some type of plan. Obviously, we don't want to go another 5 years and all of a sudden now we're even in a worse off situation than we're in now. So, but yeah, so we'll bring that back and have that discussion as well. February. No, December 15th.
Rise up.
All right, yeah. Sue, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to add my same old comment. We are doing a lot of work, infrastructure underground with the sewer lining and the water and the sewer treatment plant. But to our residents, they don't see any of that money spent. You know, you put millions of dollars under the ground and nobody knows. They see a line item in Monty's newsletter and they go, whatever. But when you start replacing streets and you start replacing sidewalks and you start making ADA ramps, those are visible improvements that your taxpayers see, they appreciate, and they say, I know where my tax money's going. And I think we need to have that conversation about a balance of what they see and what they don't see, so that our taxpayers feel good about living, working, and playing here in McHenry. Thank you.
And the AD ramps, we have been doing them in conjunction with the road program.
Thank you.
Alderman Bessie, go ahead.
Best guess estimate, what would you like to see your annual budget be for sidewalk improvement? Because I don't think $250,000 is enough, but, I mean, in a perfect world, what would you need?
To begin putting a dent in it, I think we would have to budget $500,000 a year.
Annually?
Annually.
Yeah, and just as a reminder, our utility tax for maintenance and replacement is 1.1 million. And you have to look through the community investment plan to see all the other projects that, like vehicles, for example, that while it's not fun to have to replace vehicles, we have a plan in place that is based on lifespan, et cetera, et cetera. So to add another, I'm not saying it doesn't need to be done. I'm just saying that we just need to be aware of the fact that the more we cut into that 1.1 million, then the more we push out our maintenance and replacement program for all those other things that we've already identified that need to be replaced. So then, back to Alderman Glab's point, now it's finding more money.
Right.
And we can...
December 15th, that's your job.
Yeah, and a lemonade stand.
I only present the plan, I don't have to come up with the money after that.
With this $500,000, would that just, in 10 years, now we're at 2%? The worst 2% in the whole town?
I think with that, in 10 years, we'd see a real difference. You'd
Okay.
see a real difference around town.
No, because I absolutely agree with both Alderwoman Miller and Alderman Glab that, yes, people see this, and it's like, oh, okay, now I see where my money's going, I don't mind paying, yes, let's find the money, so,
I'd say it's very similar to the situation with where we were in with the roads.
yeah.
But now, 6 years into it, it seemed impossible 6 years ago. But now, drive around town 6 years later, you see real improvement.
Mhm.
I would put it in the same category as that.
What my challenge to the council, I guess, maybe that's the wrong way to put it, for the council moving forward into the next budget year and beyond to tackle this, is to find additional funds. Don't cut into the $1.1 million in our electric tax, because we've already identified $1.1 million worth of maintenance and replacement projects that need to be done. Don't start cutting into that, or you're gonna screw up that 20-year program that we worked hard to put into place. So let's find some different money, or more money, or whatever you wanna call it.
Thank you. Yes.
And that should be our constant reminder to shop local, shop home, don't shop online, because your sales dollars go farther at home.
All right, thank you, Steve, appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Staff reports this evening?
No, just a reminder that the next meeting is on a Tuesday. It's Tuesday, September 5th, because of the Labor Day holiday, and then it'll be the 18th, the Monday the 18th after that. And then just looking through The end of the year, as a reminder, if any council member needs to be gone for a reason that you cannot participate remotely, then please let me know. That also, some of you have already, and I assume the rest of you are good to go if I haven't heard from you. So, but if you have to be gone and it's not a reason that you can't participate remotely, please let me know. Thank you.
Any others? Nope. All right. I would like to ask the council to send me an email in regards to where Rise Up money should be funded to. I'd like to get your all opinion on the funding for 2024 for Rise Up and what you would all like to see it go to, or what kind of project, just to get your input.
Sidewalk?
No, stop. Just to get your input, just to kind of get, you know, where you, sidewalk. Just to get your input on where it should go.
You could stamp every sidewalk, Rise Up. It would be a good thing.
Great idea.
Is that before or after they trip on it?
No, just a little stamp,
a little one.
compliments of Rise Up.
Okay.
But yeah, so if you could send me an email just to get some input from you all on that. Rise Up is going to be happening September 12th through the 14th, so it's a Thursday through Saturday. 3-day event. It'll be coming, Bill Hobson will help write that and bring that forward to City Council. But yeah, we're already getting acts booked, so it'll be bigger than last year. So it'll be good. Get excited, and we need all the volunteers.
That's 2024, right?
2024, September 12th through the 14th. So that's all I have. Any City Council comments? Alderman Strack, go ahead.
Steve, I didn't mean to jump backwards on us. We talked about the sidewalk plan and some of those issues, and we talked about grinding and replacing. Are we doing any jacking of any of those that are available to do that as well?
We have not done any, no. Because we do, everything that we do in-house. We don't have the equipment to do any jacking.
Okay. I just, in my real estate experience, I just happen to be involved in doing a whole complex, and we priced grinding and replacing a whole bunch of that complex, and I did it for a third of the cost by jacking all of it. So maybe that's something we should,
It's something we could definitely look
you and I can touch
into.
base offline and see if that's something that's an option to help defer some of that cost as well. It was very inexpensive. I was shocked.
Yeah, we could definitely look into it.
That's a good
Great.
idea.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering what the percentage is lifting it. You know, is it 50% of them? Is that the issues, is lifting versus cracks?
We have more that we grind than anything else that we,
Which is the
some will become tree issues, so like, second time around, there's not enough left to grind. So now you're removing, doing some tree pruning and putting squares back. But majority is grinding.
We, literally, one panel, to move one small panel was about $500 to replace it. It was $90 to lift it. So, I mean, the cost difference is monumental. So I'll reach out to you tomorrow, Steve, and we'll talk about it.
Sounds good.
Alderman Miller? Oh.
Thank you, Mayor Jett. Assessor Mahady reached out to me today and had asked if we would be willing to host a town hall for her with the current assessments going up and the tax bills going up. So I coordinated with Monty, and Monty has picked a date of September 12th.
You could use the money for Rise Up for that.
Here we go. So she is going to coordinate with that to host it here, but we thought it would be a good public information gathering. So not to do it as a town hall for us, but a town hall for her. And I think Monty sent everybody a calendar invite today. Do you want to add anything to that?
I sent you a calendar invite to let you know that was a good date, but I wanted to talk to her to make sure I had the time, everything, all the proper information before I made it official. So tomorrow, once I talk to her, I'll get everybody an official, for sure, information. Thank you.
So the cat is out of the bag, September 12th, 6:30 p.m. here. And Monty has said that he'll put it on the city calendar and throw it in the newsletter. So it will be good public service because they're expecting a 10% increase on tax bills and at least a 10 to 15% on assessments, given the market. Lovely, right? So just FYI.
And to follow on that, Ward 4 will not be there. I have been asked to host a town hall meeting with my constituents that day, so I will have to be bowing out.
Alderman McClatchy, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Two quick things. It looks like we're going to cancel the Pearl Street Market for Thursday and reschedule it for September 21st. So, Alderman Hobson, can you check that date?
Director Hobson.
Director Hobson.
Oh, that's scary.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, right. I'll take your position. Yeah, if you could just check on that. I know, it's a Thursday, the end of the year. One last thing, I'm going to be missing the meeting on September 5th because I'll be spending a week out in the woods, no cell phone, no electricity, nothing. I talked to, Alderman, about this back in, was it February? That I was picked to be part of this cast for Survivor, and it's people from all over the country coming, and 2 teams, 10 on each team, but yeah, I'll be missing the meeting, and I'll be in the woods with a tarp and rope and a hatchet, and that's it.
I'm just happy you didn't say naked and afraid. That was really what I was worried about.
Oh, my God.
So.
I am.
Yeah, right? Oh, my gosh. All right.
Thank you. That's one of the reasons I wanted to do this, is to promote the city, because I'm going to be wearing McHenry T-shirts the whole time.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
Alderman Glab.
Yeah, I just want to say, number one is kudos to Alderwoman Miller, the fact that you bring this to the council, so the council's aware of it. There's too many times that things happen here at City Hall that and the use of our facilities without the council having any clue of what's going on. So kudos to you on that. The other thing I want to bring up, it just seems like lately it's just been, hey, let's give out money with this type of incentive, that type of incentive. I was wondering if staff couldn't get a spreadsheet out, sent out to all the aldermen, and I know it's not going to happen overnight because it's probably a little bit more detailed. Of what I'm asking is a list of all the different types of economic categories that we have. It just seems every time we turn around, there's another one for vacant buildings, and I know we've approved them, but, how many different times that we've approved this and then approved that. And a breakdown of all the times that the requests were fulfilled during the year of 2022, and as well as a breakdown for 2023 as well, so we know where we're at for this year. It'd be interesting to see how much incentive money that we're using, and I'd like to see a breakdown. And again, how many different types of economic categories do we have? And if we have those economic categories that have not been used, please, if you would, list them as well, just so we know that it's there and that it hasn't been used, So it would be an interesting, I think, to look at all that and kind of gauge where we're at with that money compared to what we're getting back for it. So if we could get that list, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Alderman Miller.
I just wanted to put a shout out to the Rotarians as well. The Bands, Brews, and Barbecue Festival this last weekend was amazing. I know they were hoping for a large raise, and I think they made their goal. So congratulations to the Rotarians. It was a fabulous event, and thank you everyone who came out and supported the event.
Any other council comments? Alderman Strack? No. So we're going to go into executive session regarding litigation. So I would ask that the public and Carolyn, Steve, Ross, and everyone else can go regarding staff. And then 10 minutes or so, and then we'll open the doors back up to close. So at this time, I'm looking for a motion to go into executive session.
And we don't expect any action afterward.
Alderman Strack?
Motion.
Seconded. Alderman Santee? Just give me a little bit. It'll be quick. All right, please call the roll. Trish?
Alderman Strack?
Yes.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Alderman Glab?
Yes.
Alderman Glasser?
Yes.
Alderwoman Mackey?
Yes.
Alderman Cook?
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller?
Yes.